This week in the guest chair on the podcast, we have Lauren Ashley of Lauren Ashley Experiences. She is an interior design artist who is going to teach us a thing or two about how to up-level your home in midlife. Welcome to the Melanated Midlife Podcast, where Black midlifers share stories of how to live your boldest life after turning 50. We are so excited to have you here because with us today in the guest chair is Miss Lauren Ashley of the Lauren Ashley Experiences.com. This woman is a designer. She is an event planner, dreamer, everything.
I like
and I'm a
that.
little intimidated with you being in a space that I semi-design.
You did good.
No,
You did
because
good.
see, I'm looking at my little, makeshift put together here, and I'm just like, she judging all of this, but that's
Oh my
okay.
goodness, people be thinking that all the time. No,
Yeah.
sometimes I just be like, I'm glad to be invited into you all's space. Not
I'm
all the
happy.
time am I judging.
I am
So,
happy for you to be here. Happy for you to be here.
Thank you for having me.
And I just want to say, I mean, this is something, because even talking with the team here, I said, because I work with a bunch of dudes. I love them, but this is not really something that they see or recognize as a real art.
Okay.
And so they're just like, well, what are we talking about today? And I'm just like, she's a designer. She's an interior designer. She does all the things. And they're just like, oh, cool. And I'm like, oh, you don't get it. So I wanna honor your craft because right now, as we're recording, you have just started blowing up. And I'm saying started because, I'm cheering for you as somebody
thank you.
way in the nosebleeds because you've been featured in national publications. And this is just something that I don't want anyone to not stop and pause and give you your flowers.
Oh,
that
thank
is
you.
fabulous. I'm very happy for you.
Oh man, you're gonna start off real heavy. Okay.
I've been around for a long time. So if we're waiting for everybody else to give us those accolades, we're going to be holding our breath a long
Yes.
time. But Vogue magazine, Architectural Digest, all of this, these are names that have now come to you and said, we want to tell the world who Lauren Ashley is.
Yes.
Okay, so you are here to talk to us melanated midlifers, but you are not a midlifer. So people
Not
are
quite.
looking at you thinking, damn, what's her skin routine? Okay, no, she's not a midlifer, but she's here to teach us midlifers some lessons. So,
Okay.
let's start off by letting everybody know a little bit about you and your background.
Okay, so I'm Lauren Ashley, born and raised Houston, Texas. I'm an interior designer. I went to the school for interior design, so it's not just a passion. I went and got educated for it, and I've been doing it now for 8 years.
8 years.
Yes, and I'm 34.
34, 8 years. Okay, do that backwards math. So
Yes.
you took a big, giant step at an age where I think I was still figuring out who I was.
Oh, I still was figuring out, but I had, a little push along the way. Like that year I decided to go to design school, my dad was like on board. He was like, let's go. He went to the meeting with me and everything. And I was like, dude, when I first went off to school, this wasn't our story. What didn't change? And he was like, come on, we're going to go. He sat through the meeting with me. We talked to the woman about all the things. And he was like, oh, okay, so you doing this? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, all right, let's go.
Wow.
Yes. That year, it just like fell into place.
That is awesome. And what a blessing to have
Yes.
somebody just blindly in your corner, There are times when I talk about what I'm doing and I start spitting out all the jargon and people kind of glaze over and say, oh, that's nice. And I'm like, okay, But you had somebody that was just sitting there saying, all right, we got you.
You got it.
Let's do
You're
it.
gonna do this. And then he was there for when I graduated and came to him crying, like, no one will hire me. Like, what's up? I went and got this sheet of paper that they told me to go and get. Now all these companies are telling me no. What do I do? And he said, start your own company. And I was like, wait, what is that? They don't teach you that. So he sat me down. We did all the paperwork on the website, and here I am 8 years later, still standing.
That's amazing. So Dad was the one that said they're not bringing you to the table, so you build your own
Go
table.
build your own. And I've been full-time 4 years out of the 8 now.
Okay, I want to dig into that because it wasn't just a matter of you waking up one day and deciding I'm gonna do this full time and everything boom fell into place. There were some stops, some starts, some stops, some starts, and probably some things that you were doing, double time. But and I want to go back to that. You were talking about your dad in particular, and we were sitting here doing sound and everything, and we realized that we had a mutual background of being the daughters of truck drivers. And I'm sitting here cussing up and everything. I was like, "Hey, forgive me, I'm the daughter of a truck driver." She's like, "Oh, me too."
Yes.
So
I
that's
love
a
it.
thing.
When I travel, if I'm doing a road trip, I can give him any mile marker and he knows exactly where I'm at.
Okay, let me ask you. We have a big difference in our ages, but did you grow up knowing how to use a key map?
No.
Because see, my truck driver dad, I knew how to read a key map. I knew how to change, a flat tire.
Okay.
That was just part of the routine of knowing the things. Other girls, they probably know how to do different things. I knew how to go under the hood and check my oil.
Awesome.
So,
He tried that, and I was just like, no, I'm going to call you.
if I call you, you
That
handle
flat
it.
tire, okay, I'm going to call you. And I still call him. Say, the car didn't start like a couple of months ago. Hey, I need you to come. And it was so funny because he was like not far from me. I was like, see, it always works that way. So,
Oh my God.
yes, he's never too far.
That's good. That is good. So let's dig, into this whole background. So even though you are a designer now, you started out in a very different profession.
Yes.
And what was that?
I was a letter carrier for the Postal Service.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and I did that for 4 years. And this was when they had a hiring freeze, so they wasn't making people a career employee. Like, we got the financial benefits, but we didn't get the health care and the retirement. And at year 4, I believe that is when the freeze went down, and then they started hiring us on as permanent. And so then I was permanent for, I think, a year more of carrying mail, and I was like, yeah, this is not going to work. What are we going to do? And then I started to get into management.
So went into management with the Postal Service? Okay, how did that work out?
I became a supervisor shortly thereafter, like a temporary supervisor or an acting supervisor. And then I figured out all the ins and outs of how to become a permanent supervisor, because anytime they needed a letter carrier because they were short, they could pick you to go back to the street. And I was like, yeah, we're not going to do that.
Okay, gotcha.
Like, I'm not coming dressed to work like this for you to just say, hey, this station is whatever, we need you to go back. I was like, yeah, we're not going to do that. I want to get rid of my uniforms. And so I put myself in a position, learned all the things I needed to, and became a permanent supervisor.
Wow, okay. So somewhere in that position when you were there was, was it a calling? Was it just other things that you were seeing that was inspiring you to take it a different direction? How
I always wanted my degree. I started, before I went to the post office, I was in school getting my communications degree.
Okay.
However, I didn't like the program. And when that freshman year, they make you go back and take all these basic classes. And I was like, what is this? Because in high school, we were doing the news, we was making music videos, we were in the field. Of course, learning the textbook stuff that we needed to, but we were hands-on. So I was like, yeah, no, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
So then I got the job at the Postal Service, but then I was like, this is not going to work. I'm not doing this all my life. And I went back to school.
Okay.
And so at that time, I had a good 2 friends, I believe, that was at the Art Institute of Houston. And I went to the program, looked at all the information, and I brought my dad along.
Okay.
And I was like, I think this is what I want to do. And he said, okay, let's do it.
And so I assume there's something he sensed in your focus, your drive. Where
I'm
he
going
was
to
like,
ask him that question because recently I painted my room canary yellow again, and I did it as a child.
Okay.
It is my happy color. So now I'm gonna do it when this rolls out. I'm gonna show before and after pictures so people can see like the growth, but still like that color makes me happy.
Wow.
And so when my dad got me, he was like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to paint my room." My mama would never let me paint my room.
That was the first thing.
That was the first thing. And he was like, "Okay, what color?" And I was like, "Yellow." And he was like, well, go pick one. And I picked canary yellow. And he let me do it. And I trimmed it in a navy blue.
Oh my God. Okay. See, I'm listening to you and I'm, thinking of my own parenting journey. And as we're, doing all this recording, one of my kids is on the other side of the camera here on the production team. He is a mass comm major as well. So I'm thinking of, do I have that kind of faith in what my creator kids, both of them are creators, when they come home and say, I want to do this wild thing, do I sit there calmly and say, okay, let's do this? I'm listening and I'm saying, okay, fast forward, and this could be the end product. Somebody that goes off, does their thing, and becomes a fabulous success. So, I'm learning. I'm listening and I'm learning.
His take was it was just paint because you can always paint over it. So it's paint.
Gotcha.
I would say in reason,
Within reason.
Within reason. He let me fly.
So you get into the program, Art Institute, and, at that point you knew interior design was it? Was it just, you had an artist's mind and eye? How did we get from letter carrier to, going into this? I'm trying to understand the transition.
I always loved arts and crafts. That was a thing from child. My mom was very nurturing in that. When she said no, I couldn't paint my room, she bought me the Sims game.
Okay.
And said you can do whatever you want on this
it's
game.
Safe.
Yeah, you can. And I figured out how to build all the things I wanted to see virtually. And then they came out with a city one. So then you could build cities. And so it sparked the creativity there. And then thinking back now, I don't know if that's what drew me to the program, but I enjoyed the conversation and seeing all the bodies of work. And then in it, I learned I could draw a little bit, just a little bit. And that's when they taught us hand drawing. So we had to hand do all our floor plans. So I understand the point of functionality before it is beautiful. And that's the difference of me versus a decorator and why I stretch is so important. So when you build that custom home or when you're into a new place, before I make it this beautiful picture you're going to see, I first need to make it functional. And not just functional for anyone to flow through, but for you. How do you move throughout your house? What is important to you?
Yeah.
Those things are important to how you build on top of it.
Okay, so that's actually a very good point that I want to drill in, because the people that are watching this right now, they probably are thinking the way we were a couple of years ago, that they're like ours. We were in a big suburban home, had all the bedrooms, the bathrooms and everything, but slowly it was only two of us living there, and we just didn't need all that space. And the functionality of it, like you said, a 2-story home where nobody lived upstairs. And it's just okay, I got all this furniture up here. It was just big empty rooms. And so it's the only time that anybody saw it or would see it is if one of them was at home, one of the kids was at home, or there was a party and somebody needed to run upstairs and just get some quiet, whatever. But it was just a lot of space that we didn't need. So when we downsized and, started chronicling this whole story, people started asking, how'd you do it? I'm thinking about doing it. So I wonder if you were coming into a conversation with midlifers like us that are trying to figure out what does home look like in this stage. I mean, what are some of the questions you might guide them through if they're thinking of making a whole switch?
Do you really need all that space?
That's
if
number
it's
one.
just you and your partner, or just you, let's talk about the numbers. What is it? Because the whole second floor, why do we need it then? No one's using it.
Yeah.
That's another AC bill that's getting cut on and cut off for a 2-story home. Now you can cut your monthly expenses. But it's possible. And for me, I came from a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath house. And was what I need all this house for?
You personally, as a grown-up with your,
And I was this is not how I want to live anymore. So I have drastically cut. And at that time, I was ready to get rid of stuff. So I was just selling it. I had 2 garage sales. All right, let's go. Who wants it?
So you, as a young person, had already accumulated stuff that you had to get rid of. Ooh,
I
Lord.
furnished a fully 3-bedroom house, and I had an office on top of that. So I got rid of the desk. I everything. It was just get rid of it. It was freeing for me.
How so?
I didn't want the house to begin with.
So why? Why do we do that? Why do we have houses that we don't really want or need?
That good old dad. And you need a house. You need to buy a house.
You need to settle down.
You need to not settle down, but what comes with a house, the equity, all of that part of it.
As an asset.
Asset.
Gotcha.
Now, granted, when I sold that bad boy, I was got it. Understood. So yes, I will buy another house, but I personally don't want to live in it. That's not how I want to live anymore. I love living in the sky. It is so freeing. I love the amenities that come with it. I love not having to park my car every day. I live a fancy life.
You paying for what you want.
Right. And it makes me happy. And so getting rid of all the things, if you're not ready for it, there's always storage units. That's why they're popping up everywhere.
That's very true.
You can hire a designer, and I can tell you how to repurpose the things to bring over to the new space. And then there's other ways to donate it, tax write-off. We all need them. There's women's shelters that need it for people who are coming back from the military and need to get on their feet.
I didn't think about that.
Yes,
Very good idea.
There's multiple ways to, if you didn't want to just sell it or get rid of it and it not mean something, like there's other ways to do it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, yeah.
Ooh, good ideas. Because like our story, and if you're a person that has watched other seasons of the podcast, then you know we took most of our stuff, and I'd say probably 2/3 of it we actually sold. And we had gone through a home renovation. Well, actually two, but the big one was the last one.
Okay.
And in that renovation, we just kind of redid everything, new furniture, colors, paint and all that jazz, did all the things. And so when we decided, okay, it's time to go, it's time to change, we had a lot of new furniture. So to give it away would have probably
hurt.
Yeah, anybody that is trying to figure out, what that was, go back to episode 1 of this podcast. And my husband tells the very raw, dirty version of those hard conversations about offloading the stuff. But ultimately, we survived it. We're here now. But you made a point about the home and, how you move through it. And I'm very curious. Do you have a lot of midlife clients, first off?
I do.
Okay. Are they all like us?
Yes.
What is everybody asking?
And I love it. It depends on their situation. So I also have a lot of midlife people scaling up. So now they've hit that level of achievement in finances and life. And now the box store furniture cannot fit in the custom home you're building.
Gotcha.
And that is like a shock. Like, wait. And I'm like, yes.
Okay.
Your home has doubled in size. Your living room is a lot bigger than what they're selling in these box room stores. So what does that mean? New furniture stores or custom? And I know sometimes that's scary because it's like, what is that going to cost?
Yeah, I'm clutching my purse. That's not even right here. You say custom, I think dollars.
However, but that's a piece that's going to last. That could last to the end of time. That could be a piece that you pass on to your children, but it's going to fit in the space.
Okay.
Because that's something that is a pet peeve of mine. Like, I love that we're getting these bigger homes. I love that we're acquiring this new level of success. Also, but there's other levels to it.
Yeah.
So you get this bigger home, you also need to have the furniture to match it. And in my preference, it would be the furniture in the home before you go and buy the fancy car. Why? Because your house is not reflecting what's outside. And you live here. Oh, I got chills from saying that.
Yeah.
Yes. You live here.
Okay.
So it needs to be that reflection.
Okay. I'm feeling this. So okay, custom furniture possibly, but also when I think midlife folks, and you kind of hit on that, we are more financially secure
Correct.
in this stage of life than any other season. I mean, because at this point, most of us are probably still working. We're probably at the, top tier of whatever our career is before we decide, I'm going to start scaling back, I'm going to retire, whatever. We probably got savings. Hopefully we've gotten smarter with our money, with where we want to invest. So having those clients, I guess you would be able to have those conversations about spending a little bit more to get exactly what it is that you want.
You need. And I also tell my clients, so you're doing to double the size of your house. Cool. You don't have to furnish it all at once. Because I know the total number of what that's going to cost is going to be like, especially to the melanated people, because that's not something we're used to. So take your time. Do the key spaces first. In my order, it will be your room, because that's where you spend most of your time after you get off work. And you need that oasis for yourself. Then move to your living room and kitchen, because that's where you're going to entertain, because we love to entertain.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. You need, and just make your way around the home until it is completed. You don't have to go all in at one time, as much as I would love you to. It's okay. And I had to tell my clients, like, I ain't going nowhere. And even if I do, I'll come back for you. I'm coming back. We'll call me when you're ready to do the next room. So take your time with it.
Okay, so taking your time, customizing things the way you want it. What are some don'ts that we need to know of? I mean, I know that for me, I don't like a lot of clutter because once we got rid of a bunch of stuff, I've been very careful not to
Agreed.
bring a bunch
I
of
love
stuff in
that.
here. So am I unique or is other people because I talk, as a matter of fact, again, this is other midlife friends where the clutter, the stuff, they always assume I'm gonna need it again. Oh, that thing that I haven't touched in 5 years, I might need it. I don't want to get rid
That
of
little
that.
hoarder that lives on the inside of us.
Yeah. I mean, do you have to have hard conversations with folks
Yes.
about that? Okay.
Because I don't like, for me, the organization and you need an organizer for that. That's not my ministry. My dad, I hear him, throw it away. You don't need it. You ain't touched it, move it out. Like that in my take of it.
Yeah.
So I recommend someone that I am really close to in the design industry who loves doing that part of it. Because it's a part of design, but it takes another ministry for that.
Yeah.
Throw it away. If you ain't here touch it and use it, that's me.
So you got a tag team. You got somebody that
yes,
will.
it was like you need to go in and have these conversations with them. This is what I need. You help them get through that, and then I come back in and like do my part. And I love that because it's also bringing somebody else in. I don't want to do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something because I imagine, and then I've heard this, and again, talking about the age difference between us, where I see young people's homes, whether it's pictures or going into them, I'm seeing a stark difference between what they're allowing as far as clutter is concerned versus what I see with my over 40, my other over 50 friends. We, I guess, grew up in an era where bringing a bunch of big, bulky pieces, a lot of junk. Well, I won't say a lot of junk. It eventually turns into junk when you're not touching it. And then the younger folks, they want clean, clear aesthetics where, you just don't see a lot of things.
So I'm a mixture of both. So I've learned in my bedroom, I want the bare minimum.
Okay.
I do not like nightstands, dressers. I have a chair, a rug, a bed.
No nightstand.
No nightstand.
Lamps?
No.
Really? Okay.
So for me, it's minimal in my bedroom. And that's what I need for me to sleep well. It's free and clear. Now for my living room, I'm throwing the textbook at it. Like I have lamps, I have multiple lights, I have a strip light that changes colors when I'm in a mood for it. I have pillows, rugs, I have decor, I have all chanchis, as some people would call them. And that is my hug. Because I'm a sofa person. So in my living room before I get in bed, I decompress on my sofa. It feels like my home is giving me a hug. And then I can go into my bedroom and there's nothing. So I would say learning yourself and what you need, that is very important. And I've learned now, I get that by spending time with my client because it's not questions I can ask you and feel that you could tell me if that's not. First time is people are like, wait, did she say? And I'm like, I'll just spend time with you in your home. I'm there just talking to you. I'm picking up on things. It makes me think of a mutual client that you know. She was like gray and just neutrals. And I'm like, she had on chrome shoes and a colorful shirt. And I'm like,
okay.
We're not doing gray anywhere in this home. We're not doing that. And she was like, no, resale. Don't tell me nothing about resale. Your outfit tells me something. Okay. You like color. Yes. You like pattern. You like bold stuff. So why are we talking anything gray? And she sat there and was like,
okay. Ooh, okay. And I'm even thinking, like myself, we're sitting in a space right now that is very neutral. But I do like color on walls. I know that that's my thing. And in a rented space, I'm a little...
Paint it.
I can paint it, but I need to pay somebody else to paint it. Like you say, that's not my ministry to do my own work anymore. I'll keep a small business, afloat to let somebody else come in and do it. But okay, I see that. So understanding the client, the person, what they're gravitating towards. You're studying all of that before we sit down and do a single thing.
I pick up on things in our first conversation. I pick up things when I first visit your home. I come to your home maybe 2 or 3 times depending on the scope of work and how I'm able to schedule my tradespeople. But each time I'm picking up on things. Like it makes me think of another client. She did all her renovations before she brought me into the picture, and she did a very good job. I don't recommend that for everybody, though.
It's work.
It's work, but also Call me first.
Okay. Okay.
So you can
Call
make
a
sure you're doing it right.
professional.
Yes.
Call a professional.
But she did very good. And she did her primary bathroom and it was gorgeous. I was like, okay, approve.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, but are you using it? It looked like it hadn't been touched. And she was like, no, because I still need you to do, like, I'm doing her light fixtures, doing a new mirror. And I'm like, wait a minute. You've gutted this bad boy and you're not using it? And she's like, because it's not done. And I'm like, no, ma'am.
Yeah. This was a conversation. I don't know who it was with, but it was kind of like, what are the things with your home that we are just breaking? I'll call it breaking the curse, ways that you were raised where you weren't in this generation, but we were in a generation where there was a part of the living room where you just weren't allowed to touch
I
or
remember
sit.
that.
Okay. The plastic, runner where you couldn't step off the carpet.
That's my grandmother.
Yeah, we had the living room where you weren't allowed to actually sit until company came over. We had the good dishes, the good towels.
My grandmother had this beautiful black and gold sofa from Louis Shanks. I don't even think they're around anymore.
Yes, I know Louis Shanks.
She was the only person allowed to sit on that sofa.
Okay.
And I was like, thinking back on it, so that maybe her influence too. And I was like, she's the only one that was allowed to sit on it. It was like, ma'am, this is a gorgeous sofa. We need to sit on our furniture.
Yeah.
So this was before the Christmas holiday. I went back after New Year's and I went into the room because I'm still getting things. And I was like, oh, it looks like you're using your shower now. And she, yes. And I was like, exactly. We need to use our things. It doesn't need to be.
It's yours.
It's yours. You've already done the hard work. The construction is done. No, it's not complete, but it's on its way.
Yeah.
Use it. She has body sprays. Like, you have done the work.
Yeah. Okay. I'm wherever she is, if she's watching this, and everybody like that. If you're going through all the pains, the trouble, picking out all of these special things, it's for you.
It is.
Not for anybody else.
And
if somebody else is coming, they're probably going to be there once in a blue moon, but you're there every day.
You know what cracks me up? She going to get me on this. I love you, though. Okay, so she reached out to me right before the Christmas holidays. I'll say like the first week of December. It was like, I need to get all this done by Christmas. Okay, no. No. If you want anything done for Christmas, you need to reach out to me in quarter 2 and 3. Preferably 1.
Oh, okay. So is that just you or is that just kind of typical?
That's typical, honestly, because this is the thing. If you're trying to have something big for Christmas, but you're doing major renovations like your bathrooms, your kitchen, those projects take time. Yeah. Okay? They're not just like what the major networks make it look like.
It's not 96 hours
from
calling you to getting it.
It's not. And
really?
No, it's not. And like there is one design show, and every time I make reference of it, I appreciate them. It's on Netflix. I can't think of the name. I'll give it to you so you can put it in the notes.
Okay.
So they talked about that. Like they're not. They did renovations, I believe, in a week, but they had 100 people on hand.
Oh, okay.
That makes it they made note of that though. So it's like how many hands you had on deck.
Yeah.
You had a production schedule. Y'all had to get things.
And assuming that there's not going to be any delays with anything else.
Delays or problems with what you find behind the walls, depending on how there's so many layers to it. So quarter 1 is the best. Because that gives us time. That gives us time to go through the design, make sure we selected everything. Everything is like how you want. Right. Then we break ground or, do the things that we needed to do. But the month of, absolutely not.
Gotcha.
And it also limits what a designer could put together.
Yeah.
Because now you're only getting retail and what's available.
Yeah. And okay, so backing up to that, because I'm thinking of somebody that's watching this that's thinking, ooh, I want to downsize. Or like you said, I want to up level what I'm doing. And got my house thinking of whatever. And I guess, is it at that point that, when you're just having the thoughts?
Yes.
When you're bringing in a designer and having those conversations of this is where I am, this is where I want to be.
Yes.
And you're walking them all the way through that.
The better.
Okay.
I would say if you're deciding anything design-wise, the sooner the better. Why? You want to vet your person. I know I'm not everyone's designer. My schedule won't allow me, and also like I like to vibe with my people. You need to vet the person that you're interested in. Do y'all hit the vibe? Do you like them, him, her? Because you're
working with a human being.
You're making with a human being. Like, do you like their style? Do you like their processes?
Gotcha.
Like, what did that meeting feel like? Did you feel safe? All these things, because it's a very intimate service. Like, I'm going to be in your home. I'm going to get to know you. Like, all these things that I've learned now, I tell you back and they're like, oh my goodness, she's really paying attention to me. Like, I have to.
Yeah.
Like, it's a part of the service for me. It's not just picking pretty things anymore.
Right.
So vet the person, figure out if that's the person. If not, it also gives you time to find the right person.
Right.
And then have that conversation. Like, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm thinking about doing, what does this look like? Depending on, I'm thinking about doing a custom home. You need to have them on board. That designer is your best friend. She's going to make sure that builder is not going over you, making sure that what y'all discuss is going to be implemented. And because some of them think they designers, respectfully. I don't think I'm a builder. It's not my lane. So let's stay in our respectful lanes.
Yeah.
But let's understand like what the goal is and let's work to it. So yes, earlier the better.
Okay, I'm learning because for me, I can say that I'm a very practical person. So the idea of bringing in a professional designer feels luxury to me. And I mean, is that true? I'm assuming, yes, I'm paying a penny for it. I'm getting quality, but is it something that's within reach for the average person, or is it just something that we need to just say, okay, if you want the good stuff, you're going to have to invest in it?
I feel you can find a designer at your level because now it's a thing. It's not a best kept secret anymore. So I feel you can find a person at no matter what level. Like, I offer different services. I offer e-design, so that's more of your budget friendly service. And then so like I'll put together the whole design for you.
Okay.
And then after I give you the design, I cut the cord. It's on you to put it together.
Yeah.
It's on you to find the tradesmen.
So that's your DIY folks.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha.
DIY. But however, because I know I get attached to my people. They get attached to me. You get a conference call in between to make sure that you are on track with everything. And I like to see progress pictures. I like to make sure that you okay. I try to cut the cord, but I need to. And I love my people.
I know they appreciate it.
They do. So, and I'd appreciate it too, because I like to see the progress. Like, and it keeps the relationship going, because what I've had from that happen is they started here, when they make their next level in life, they're thinking of me.
Yeah.
Like, now, Lauren, I'm ready to do something. Like, let's go. Like, I have a client now. We did their home 4 years ago, and their project is called Growing Up. And now they just bought their first investment property.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
And it's like, Lord, I'm ready to grow up again for their investment property. And it's going to be a dope Airbnb. So it's like, yes, you thought of me to call me back.
Heck yeah.
So
if they want it done right.
So it's like those type of things. Finding your person is so important.
Yeah.
And I'll tell my client, like, I'm here. We're going to grow together. It may be, my process may be a little different when you come back.
Yeah.
Because I'm growing always. But we'll talk about it. We'll go through all the things, understand what we're trying to do, and go from there.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I hope, because we will have all of Lauren's information in the show notes, so you'll be able to see, I mean, like I said, there's some impressive stuff. And I'm looking at it as, I'm saying a mature old person, but I know that I'm willing to pay for that. I know that I'm at an age where my back is not what it used to be. I don't have the patience and the energy that I used to. And I trust that I can't do it to the quality level by myself. So bringing in a professional, I would very much recommend to folks that are watching this.
Absolutely.
And so, that is one piece. But the other piece that I really wanted to go back to is talking about, you yourself. I mean, that everything that you're talking about, it sounds so cool to say, oh, I quit my job and I took a big leap as a designer. I'm assuming that there's more that, you didn't just wake up on a Tuesday and decide I'm trying to temper this a little bit. And you're like, yeah, it was that easy.
It was not easy, but I remember 2 weeks before the day happened, I called my dad and was like, yeah, I'm not going to be here that much longer.
At the post office.
And always, it's like always these key moments. Normally, my dad is kind of like, what? You know, it's not that day he was calm.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, put a plan together.
Yeah, figure it out.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, you for real?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You think I'm playing? I'm serious. Well, 2 weeks happened. I'll be honest, y'all. My hours at the post office at that time was 3 a.m. to 11:30 in the morning.
Okay.
That particular time, I was exhausted. I did not make it on work on time. When I finally made it to work, my boss knew I wasn't there yet. And she was like, Lauren, I'm going to talk to you when I get there. And I was like, all right, whatever. She came in, and I appreciate her. Like, I don't know if she watches this. I hope she's laughing and like, I'm proud of her, you know. She came in on one, and I was like, yep, today's the day.
To leave.
She was like, Lauren, I'm changing your schedule to the PM, and the PM schedule is like noon till 7. And I'm like, that ain't going to work for me.
That still wasn't good enough.
Like, no. I have work.
Yeah.
I have client work to do. Like, I'm not going to be here. And carriers, I love y'all still, but y'all like to be on the street till they get dark and then the accidents always happen in the PM, and that's like another 2 hours to do that report. I'm like, this not going to work. She said what she said, and I said, okay.
So you were doing both jobs, both work at the same time?
Yes. So I get off at 11:30 a.m. I'll probably eat, if not, and then till I passed out, till 7 at night. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was, and thinking back now, because my life is completely drastic with the hours, how I was doing both of them, that was nothing but God and drive. Like, I saw a dream and was just going for it. Because there's just no way. I was working 12 hours, at least 12 hours a day.
Wow. And this, I'm assuming that, you know, there was a financial aspect to it where you was, or was it, you know, because I'm assuming that you do both until that passion project starts to financially overshadow. So the money wasn't rolling in?
Well, it was rolling in, but it hadn't replaced my salary yet.
Okay.
I didn't replace my salary till I went full time.
So it was a leap.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
And like, she came in and said that, and I was just like, yeah, no. And like, in my mind, or like in that 2 weeks, I was like, I'm going to save up this amount of money. I'm going to have this put aside, like all these things. None of that was the case. No, I don't recommend that. You be,
because you know, I'm taking notes.
You be as prepared as possible. Okay, that was just me, and also this was 2020, so this was right before the world shut down.
Ooh, got it. This puts a lot into context.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was right before I was working towards like a big event too, and in my mind, this event was going to be the thing that like snowball the company.
Because this is a part of your services is event planning or the designing.
Yeah, but this is an event. I had just released my ebook, and I was going to have an opening party at a big company.
So like
here
your
in Houston.
launch.
Yeah, like the launch of it. Like it was like everything.
Your debut into the world. Yeah.
So it was like, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be all right. So I went in, gave her the slip, and was like, exhaust all my leave. When all my leave is gone, I'll come back with a resignation letter.
Oh, okay.
And I walked out quietly. No one knew I had quit but her.
You left a very safe job.
I did.
I mean, because that's what we think. We think you work for the post office, you ain't never going to be, you know, unemployed.
Correct.
And you decided, no.
I walked out that day and didn't look back.
I'll be.
And so now I'm at home learning. Now I'm working full time, like figuring out what that schedule is going to be.
Yeah, what is that? You go home, you walk out of the job, you just calling up clients and say, by the way.
No, I called my dad and said, today was the day.
Okay.
And he's like, okay, what are we doing? I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to roll with it.
Okay.
And I did.
I'm saying okay like crazy because I'm in shock that you truly just
walked out of there.
Okay.
Yep.
If I were your mother, I'd be like, girl, what the hell? You know? But okay, it has a happy ending. But
it does. You know, I'm still here. So, and it wasn't easy. So then the world shut down.
Yeah.
So that week that everything was like getting canceled, my event, they still hadn't canceled the event yet. So I'm like, I'm still holding on. But this is when the sports team started like, no, we're not doing it. And then I finally got the call and I was like, what the hell did I just do?
Ooh.
Like,
yeah.
God, this is a real bad trick. Like, you let me quit my job
yeah.
and the world shut down?
Yes.
This is a cruel joke. But another designer gave me my biggest project at that time was a full custom house.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I learned there are people during these times that it don't affect, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
I say that with respect to regards to everything that had happened, but they built a $1 million home in the midst of the pandemic, and I selected everything from my sofa at home.
Yes.
And didn't miss a beat. That year, while we were figuring out life, I doubled my salary. I didn't miss a paycheck. I still was able to pay myself like I was at the post office, like the routine, and was like, what? I still had my medical benefits because I was with them for so long. I was able to pay out of pocket to keep my benefits for the full year, and was like, oh, okay.
This can happen.
This
can
is a
work.
thing. And then people started getting bored in their homes. Instead of all that vacation money, it was like, oh, I want to do this to my house. My company went through the roof. And I was like, oh, okay, now I need team members. Like, what does this look like? Now I got to add people to the team.
Yeah.
I had a social media manager. I had another designer. I had a project manager. I had a bookkeeper. Like, I was just like.
And you're figuring this out along the way.
Yes. Like, no one taught me, like, oh, this is what it's going to be. This has all been trial and error and the grace of God.
Yeah.
Like, to be able to do that. But, yes, all this happened. And I was like, okay, we're just going to keep rolling. And I'm still rolling. Now, on the flip side of that, there's downsides. So, this year, I had to downsize. I'm back to a solo entrepreneur.
Okay.
Back to a one-woman show. I am the social media manager. I am everything but the bookkeeper and the CPA, because that's not my ministry. No. Hire the professionals.
Right.
And I'm still standing.
Still.
Like, no, it's not ideal.
Yeah.
Like, I want people to start knowing that it gets hard.
Yeah.
Like, coming to that realization of, like, Lauren, you need to downsize your team. A part of me wouldn't until I had no choice but to.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, wait a minute, I was doing great during the pandemic. Like, how do we go to that to this? You think it's just gonna continuously go that way? Yeah, no.
And okay, that's a good lesson to kind of reiterate, because I know that when you say the stories about, hey, took a leap of faith, did my thing, it took off in the middle of the pandemic, which that story alone it's scary, you know? But I do get it, because our personal story is that we did a home renovation in the middle of the pandemic and lived truly, like we were talking about that 2-story house, and it was a 4-person family, and our living space, because we lived in the house while the construction was going on, we were reduced down to 2 rooms. All 4 of us in 2 rooms, and we shared 1 bathroom. And, that's why, because, the house was gutted, and that was on purpose. It did go well. We were very lucky, didn't have a lot of issues. But I get the drive of the homeowner that is saying, looking around and saying, you know what, we do have a lot of time to spruce this up, or that money that we were going to spend on the thing is not going to happen, so let's put it towards the house. I get that 100%.
Yep.
Ooh, but you took off, and then things have just kind of, gone a little, I don't want to say go south, but it ebbs and flows.
Ebbs and flows, yes.
Yeah.
It's like, and then if you don't experience them, you don't know how to bounce back from them. You don't really see what you're made of. For me to go through all of that and still be here, it's like, okay, I'm going to be all right.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not ideal. Yes, I miss my team. That in itself, I didn't want to let them go. I loved my team. They are great people. And how I got my team is completely not the norm of how people get people. Like, one of my designers, I did her wedding.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
And in the midst of doing her wedding, learned she went to college for her interior design degree. And I'm like, oh, okay.
We need to have a different conversation.
Got through the wedding. Okay, so I need help.
Yeah.
I need you on the team.
Uh-huh.
Come on. The other designer that was on my team.
People listening like, ooh, I can go work for Lauren.
The other person on my team, she had the God-given talent. I believe her degree was in tech or something like that, of that sort. And It's so funny because 2 people told her to reach out to me. And it wasn't until I think the client that lived in their neighborhood and it was like, someone kept telling me I need to reach out. And she finally reached out to me and went to her house. She was like, I just want you to come over and see what I done. She's very like, I'm girl, pop your shit. Her house, amazing. And she did it herself from the ground up. And I'm like,
I love those stories.
just like, Lord. I'm like, no, you're on the team.
Yeah.
You built a house by yourself or with your husband. But you did all the things. You know what it is from the ground up.
From conception
to
into
the
reality.
End, right.
Yeah.
So, you're on the team. And
Awesome.
we rocked and rolled. And learned together, made mistakes, figured it out, all the things. And it was really hard to let them go.
But even with, like you say, you're back to being a solopreneur. I mean, is it ever going to get to a point where you decide, okay, I need to go back and just get a 9-to-5 job?
So I learned that lesson this year too. So I thought in letting go of the team, it was like, all right, Lauren, we need to go back to corporate, figure things out, and reevaluate some things. And at that time, oh God, it's so funny. At that time, contracts was coming really slow. So I was like, I got to do something. So I went and got a job. I finally got the job that I didn't get when out of school. Like, I think it was like also a thing to like check off of myself. Like, I done put in all this work. I could go get a design job. So my very first day of work, because I downsized the team, told them I needed a month before I started the job to make sure I was okay. Like, I got all this settled, and then I'll start the job, right? So did all that. My first day of work, 2 contracts closed. I'm sitting at this table like, oh my goodness.
You kicking yourself?
Yeah, like, what is this? Like, you didn't let me go get this job.
Did you took that as a divine message, I guess?
Kind of. It was just like, are you playing with me?
Yeah.
Like, what, why? So I'm sitting here, the 2 contracts closed, and then I have a out-of-state project. It was up in like shambles. The builder talking crazy to my client. The client is like, Laura, what is going on? And I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay. All right. I'm not leaving my people.
Yeah.
If any client you can say they know, if something goes wrong, I'm going to fix it. I'm not leaving my people. Because you trusted in me enough, I'm going to go make right on my thing. Right. So I had the conversation with my manager and was like, this project is up in arms. And she was like, I need you to make a decision because that's their company, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, I got to back up a little bit. So I'm there for a week.
The
contract's closed on the first day. I stayed a complete 7 days. But in that 7 days, I'm like, what are we here for? I see things that I wouldn't expect happen, and not nothing bad. Then I'll give an example so people are like, oh my God, if people like find out. So it was a brand new building. People in hard hats still in there. The floors needed, it's punch list time.
Right.
They're gunning to open the place. And I'm like, but why? Like for the public. And it's like, there's hard hats still in the building. And what I learned was I put a lot of pressure on myself as a solo person. But if this big company is out here, like, okay, we're going to open the doors regardless. Like, Lauren, you need to give yourself some grace.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Big companies still do crazy things, and you are doing the best you can at your level. So just keep going. So the project up in Ames and everything. So I'm like, okay. I tell her, she was like, I need to know. So then I'm going to go on lunch, and I'll come back.
Oh, this was a decision made over lunch? Okay.
I called my dad. He was like, Lauren, what you gonna do? And I was like, I'm not leaving my client.
Yeah.
He said, okay. Yeah, do what you gotta do. I said, okay. I walked back in, and the person, and if that person watching, I want her to know I still love and appreciate her for referring me and sticking the neck out for me. And she just so happened to be there. And I was like, okay, it's lining up. Like, I was going to have that hard conversation with her outside of after I done it.
Yeah.
Maybe that call would have got to her before I got to her, type thing. So I was able to talk to her first and say, hey, I wanted to thank you but I gotta go. And she said, no, I appreciate you. Go be great.
I get it.
Went in that manager's office and was like,
that was it.
Here's your computer. Here's your phone.
Wow. It was that fast.
7 days.
And like you said, you checked that box. You proved to yourself that, yes, I can go back and get a job if I need to. But the calling was to do your own thing, to be in control of your own destiny. And the clients, they trusted you. They weren't trusting another brand or another company or a big corporation. That they were trusting you to come through for them. And that's the route that you decided to honor.
I think the calling is to be an example that I didn't see. It is to pour into other people who look like me and to get them to believe that they can do it. I think the calling is bigger than design. That's just maybe the vessel of it. But the calling is to see, oh, okay, I can do this. She doing it, I can do it.
Yeah. The representation.
To bring somebody up.
Okay.
Because if I can bring somebody up, I'm tapping them and let's go.
I love that.
And that gave me chills. Like,
Yeah.
that is what the calling is.
I love it. Yeah, because I can say this, being in this space, which, having this channel, having this podcast, it was very intentional to bring certain voices into the fold, to make sure that we amplify a certain perspective. And so you saying that, it kind of brings it full circle to the purpose of us being here. Number one, I want to talk to you. But number two, like I said, to be in a visual medium where we're showing these faces, the representation, and the age as well, that this is important for all perspectives to be honored, and for us to understand that there's more than just what has been out there as the stereotypical mainstream or whatever. So I'm really glad that you made that point. But I do want you to maybe kind of go back and, let's take your journey, your entrepreneurial journey, your vision, and everything that has brought you to this point today. And I mean, again, there's a big age gap between us, but I can learn from anybody. So but the audience here, the midlifers, they are looking for that kind of inspiration. There's something that they're wanting to do big. And whether they're waiting for permission, whether they're waiting for some magical blueprint that guarantees that the risk is not going to be as big, what message can you give to them about where they are in life? Because I consider, like I said, this is prime to do what you want to do. Be selfish, and whatever that dream is that you've deferred, what message do you want to give to them?
Consider this your permission slip to go after whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be quit your job today, Do the small things to it, whether that's going back to school, just researching it, YouTubing, like whatever it is, start the snowball for it. Oh, I got chills, so that's what it is.
I like that.
Yes, and I'm taking my own advice. So I have 2 regrets in life.
Oh, let's talk.
I gotta say how I can say it. Okay. I did not go to HBCU, and I've always wanted to be Greek. And let's just say I'm going to make right on them.
Okay.
I got chills. And
that's your intention.
That's my intention.
Okay.
And I'm starting small. I'm not just like, I'm going to go here, that type of thing. And it's been like researching the programs, what it is that I really want to do. Is it going to be something in the design field, or is it going to be something else? Like figuring out what that is, but starting small, and I'm going to just let it snowball.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I would say. Like, consider this your permission slip. Go whatever that is. Learn it, research it. Find a mentor. Find the person you admire that's in it or doing the thing, and start putting in the work for it.
Yeah. I like that, because like you said, it's just the small steps, and not to sit still, not to sit back just dreaming of the one day. And, my husband is the one that has said this to other friends, that we have more days behind us than we have ahead of us. And if you think of it in that way, not that it's morbid in any capacity, but just like, okay, right now, I'm in my 52nd year on this planet.
Beautiful.
I probably don't have 52 more ahead of me. I, may have a quarter of that. And, but
we're going to say more than a quarter of that.
But even if I don't, let's say that I use that time to the fullest of whatever my dreams, my goals are going to be. And I look at someone like you who's, I didn't do the fast math, but I mean, you literally could be my daughter, you know? And I'm just thinking of what you've accomplished in that amount of time, you know, and I see that as inspiration. I hope other folks that are watching this see that as inspiration as well. But, you know, there's no perfect timeline. There's no perfect path.
It's not.
And
I learned that,
yeah.
and like also like sitting back thinking about it now, like walking out of that job, like I really did that. Like that's really wild.
You're like, what the hell was I doing?
Like, right? What did I do?
This could be a very different story.
It could be. Like it really could be like, oh my goodness, you know, going back there trying to get that job back, like or all that. But that's not the reality of it.
You'd have to go back and say, I was just playing.
Yeah, no. Y'all can't, let me tell you. And like, whew, Lord, don't make an example out of me. Like, if I got to go back and get in a job, do not send me back there.
Right.
Like, no. And it's so funny because I still have my P.O. box there. So they get to see me often. Well, not as often enough because they tell me I need to
judging you up and down like, oh, I guess she all right.
That's right. Like I say, she ain't checking her mailbox type thing. But it's like now in seeing it, going back, I have reflected like, I'm so glad I got out. And I'm so glad I bet on myself. It has not been easy. There are still some days I'm like, WTF, what are we doing here? And then something happens. And it's like, okay, that's why I'm here. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have faith in your own abilities to keep going.
Some kind of way.
Some kind of way.
Dig, find, memory, this. It's all fuel to like, all right, keep trucking. You got to keep going.
You do. Well, I've got probably a lot of folks that are dying to know how they can work with you. So, I mean, coming up this right now we're recording this at the beginning of 2025. Okay. So what's coming up over the next year where people can check out your work or possibly connect with you?
You can always find me on Instagram. I love Instagram. My name is Lauren Ashley Experiences. And I am on all the networks, LinkedIn, TikTok, barely. Because see, that's what you talk about, that age again. I know. I was like, I ain't dancing. I ain't doing all that.
I'm very impatient with TikTok.
I am. You know, I've tried. I put things there, and I'm just like, yeah, this is not for me.
Right.
But there's a presence there. And recently, I launched my YouTube page. So,
hi.
Yes.
So we can be YouTube sisters.
Yes, I am on the YouTube, and I'm enjoying it. So that you can find me always on social. This year so far, it has brought me to DC already. I have a project out there. Yes. Okay. And I am loving it.
Awesome.
Yes. And going back to like downsizing, I did her home here. She came from a 4-bedroom home, 2.5 bath, and now she in a 2-bedroom condo. It has been a journey of like.
There's a lot of us out there.
We got to shrink the size of our furniture. And it's so funny because she had real size, big, house furniture. And she was like, I want both of my sofas. And I was like, not in that condo. Do you not? And I understand the event. And she did a great sofa. It has performing fabric. Like, I love her sofas. Gotcha. And I'm like, yeah, no, you don't have the space for it.
Yeah, the space is a biggie.
So let's put it in storage. I'm not sell it because I do approve of this sofa. We're going to use it again. Let's tuck it over there for a little while. And I have a project in Arizona.
Nice.
I'm loving that one. That one should be done this year. And I'll go as far as they need me.
Okay. And we don't know what the future holds, but the whole conversation, I will, a little bit of behind the scenes, the conversation of having Lauren here on the podcast. Number one, I did want you to be on the podcast, but the other thing is that I was like, hey, I want to do a podcast set. I want somebody, a professional designer. She's like, okay, cool. And I was like, well, come on the podcast first, and then we'll figure it out. So who knows, whenever we get, a redesign of the podcast set, and I will definitely shout out Lauren and let you know what she did, how she did it, how long it took. We'll talk dollars and cents and everything, but we are definitely going to make sure we get your work out there. And I love those type of
projects. Those are one of my favorite projects. So during the pandemic, I did a lot of entrepreneur suites.
Oh,
these are people who had, came from the traditional salon and then went individual, so you can have that one-on-one, keep yourself safe. those are my most fun projects, honestly.
Okay.
Like, I enjoyed them, making it their own. They have their own four
Yeah.
walls, those are
That's what I
cool
want.
projects.
Okay, we're gonna do
So-
that. We're gonna make that happen. That's me speaking intention to what
Okay,
I want to
cool.
do.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, Miss Lauren Ashley, I do appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to link everything in the show notes so that you can find out a little bit more about Lauren's work, but also if you want to work with her, like I said, you midlifers that are thinking about what your home space is going to look like in this season where you get to be totally selfish, you get to customize it, not just for large families or whatever, but for you. And I will say that if going from, like our situation, we went from a home to a rented space or a smaller space.
Or vice versa.
You can definitely do a whole lot that really makes it yours. And, there's a lot of lessons to be learned from a professional, but then also just a little bit more about how you don't have to hold on to what was because you're a very different person in this season of life. So, all right. So if you like any part of this, please comment and let us know. We will definitely link Lauren's information in the show notes. And until next time,